what went wrong, not. So Doc says we have technical difficulties, so we will fix it and then be back.
Tonight, as the lights shine brightest on the Primetime Octagon, two men from the same camp will do battle for the richest prize in Primetime history, the Xbox Championship. First, the challenger BFAP Dirty Dave, a well-rounded mixed martial artist with a thirst for violence and a craving for gold. He is driven by passion and moulded by obsession. He has one objective in mind, and that is to become the new Xbox champion at Primetime. I'm not scared of him, he's my campmate, but he has what I want, and I need it. Were the words spoken by the challenger, but in order for Dirty Dave to take the championship, he must defeat one man. Enter BFAP Trixie, the boogeyman of the Xbox division, and what would the boogeyman be without the fear of his opponents? But Trixie is in for a fight of his life when he steps into Satan's playground against not only a campmate, but a friend. I know he isn't scared. No one should be scared until I take them down. Those are the words of the champion. But with all that being said, viewers of Primetime, take your seat. Place your bets because your Friday night starts right now and it's time for battle. Welcome to Primetime. So then, apologies for the technical difficulty at the start. Apparently I managed to misselect my mic. I will be your host, the Doctor. I was also the guy who wrote the intro, as you can tell by the voice. Joining the booth tonight will be the ever mighty BFAP Slick Colt and TMF Ginger.
Cannot wait. Fight, excited for this. It's gonna be a big night.
It is a big night. We've got the Xbox Championship on the line. You've got both your campmates there. You've got BFAP Trixie as well as BFAP Dirty Dave. Both of them, I imagine, you know quite well. As you look further down this card, you've got Jakey as well. So seems like it's going to be a bunch of BFAP fighters. You also got Big Nige from the LW camp, Highbresh fighting Marshall Rival, Amazon Noggin. We do have a couple of replacements with Mega Tony fighting Galactic and Chase Me Fam fighting Onjay. Those will be the second and third fight of this evening, Ginger.
Yeah, I know a lot of fights that are going to be there. You know, you got Apollotti and Carantel, Chase Me Fam versus Ronnie J. Obviously, you got the main event, BFAP Trixie, pound for pound, Goop and Primetime, versus Dirty Dave.
Do agree. That's a hell of a fight to have. So, as you mentioned, you got the main event of Trixie Dave, that both of them being very well adjusted. But in the co-main, you have Millions, former part of BMF, I believe, during KIA for a bit, and then left off to go do his own thing there. And Millions, known as a very impressive striker, a very aggressive technical striker, that fighting someone by the name of GSP goes, imagine it can be a striking versus wrestling matchup there, Slick.
So we're throwing it back to the early UFCs here with the striker versus grappler matchup. You know, it's always fun to watch because you can kind of get an idea quite early on who's going to implement their game and what their skill sets are like. So I look forward to that one. See who can just implement their game, take over the fight, and fight the fight they want to fight. Doc.
I do agree. Seeing how someone adapts, how someone adjusts are always the joys of each fight, because you have a lot of similar matchups, you have a lot of similar styles that come around, unless you fight someone like possibly like Dave, for example, but it's always about the adjustments, it's always about how they adapt to each style. But without further ado, let's get into the first fight of this evening. Ginger, KM Capellotti versus Karen Till, part of the TT camp here.
Obviously, me and Karen Tell's done a lot of sparring. He's great striking awareness. He knows what to throw and when to throw it. Obviously, goes with a Bobby Green pick. Normally, but I'm excited to see what he able to do with his picks.
Well, Bobby Green did recently get updated. He's got a lot of striking abilities, quite aggressive on the feet now. He's still only got a level 1 jab, but I imagine you can get your hands going, Select. He's going to still be a very hard hitter and a very good striking pick overall.
Bobby Green stand-up's scary, especially against a Diaz, because Diaz obviously has the durability. And I've seen from fighting Capellotti on the rank that he kind of lives by the sword or dies by the sword. Like, he's not a guy who's going to get rocked and start shooting. He's going to come and try and kill you still. And against the Diaz, the lack of power on Bobby Green might cost him here. But it's going to be interesting to see as this fight progresses.
Well, we already see the jab starting to get used. Karen Till digging the jab to the body. Capellotti, on the other hand, using that long jab straight. Lovely slip upper there. And it seems like we're going to have Bobby Green on the front foot. Diaz on the back, poking, prodding, looking to make Green overextend here already. Ginge.
We're seeing Capellotti be more the back of the fighter. He's waiting, but he's whiffing a lot here. We're seeing Karen Till goes that nice offensive counter pressure type of style. He's hitting the shots pretty well here, so.
Watching this, I'm loving how Karen Till ends to the body. Because he's exiting the pocket to the body, which
that was a lovely combo. The slip uppercut into the hook, another hook lands out off the slip. He's got some fantastic counters, and they are working the game here, looking for his ground pound. Heavy shots already firing there, Ginge.
Yeah, we're seeing this perfect counter striking game here from Karen Till. You would favour the DS normally over the Bobby Green, but Karen Till showing you why he shouldn't the rest of it.
Yeah, maybe. I would definitely favour the Green in this matchup, but that's just personally from my use of both fighters. It depends on your general technique and how well you can use that jab. You must, if you think about it here, Slick.
What I'm seeing here is from Karen Till. So early fight, he was exiting to the body, as I was saying. So his last strike's to the body, which has got Capellotti dropping his hands for the last strike, and that's creating the openings up top to get the knockdown.
And this is why we have Slick on commentary. He's the guy who will notice these tiny little bits. And here you see a lovely uppercut, gets to double counter, but the power of Diaz there, again, just doesn't get the damage off he needs to. The head health is quite low, especially when compared to Green Capellotti. He's trying to overextend here. Manages to get the body stun, Ginge.
Yeah, Capellotti just going for the body, like that. He's taking down the stamina. He's getting a little of advantages very early in the fight, and that's what you need in this type of conflict environment.
Calling back to an earlier statement by Slick mentioning that Capellotti dies by the sword, it definitely seems it here. He's just always throwing back, always there. Like you can see his stamina getting lower than his opponent, but he's still willing to fire every shot in the book here. It's like
Capellotti here, I'd like to see obviously a little bit more head movement, getting caught at that. So maybe just a couple of feints, get him thinking. He's mixing up the level well with the teep now. Before, like he kind of lost the head health just attacking a big rock again.
Until that, we're seeing Capellotti almost bring the head health advantage back, but Until's really not letting him get any advantage. Really good first round, showing his perfect cut. All around just offensive awareness though.
Yeah, he's got fantastic awareness. The head movement you mentioned is definitely something to be feared when you're fighting someone like Karen Till, with Bobby Green known for that head movement as well here, Slick.
I mean, what I'm seeing here, just generally, is that Karen Till's waiting for counters now. So if Capellotti started to bring out the feints a little bit, he could wait throw the feint out, let him move his head, and then catch him moving his head, which will give him big counters to get the head off advantage back. Ginge.
Then the face would just if we set him up like this, but you can just go full on pressure like Steer right here, but they need to be careful that slip. That could be dangerous if come away for the strike there, dog.
Yeah, he is now starting to get that jab a bit more established. As like mentioned though, the counter windows is what seems to be Karen Till's main aim here. He's not looking to put the damage on. He knows that if he pushes forward, he can probably get the finish, but why bother to put on the pressure here when you could just wait for the counter, wait for one opening, and you've got the fight done and dusted here, Ginge.
I want to see more from I want to see more using straight lead hook. Oh, well, there we go. But yeah, I want to see more using that straight lead hook. I want to see him, go for the body again. I want to keep on doing what he's doing because it's really working well here, so.
I agree with you on that one. I'd like to see go back to the body. There it is. Just because at the minute he's kind of headhunting, so Capalotti is okay to just take it on the block and fire back. Catching him with big counters like that. He can mix in the body work, it opens up top again, Jim.
It's really starting to open up here. Ball kicks are really starting to be a weakness here, though.
That hook though lands,
right
and
back at him.
you can see that every time Diaz gets stunned here, he's leaning straight into that power hook. So if Karen Till can make that read via maybe a jab at rear hook, it just means that Diaz will go straight into it, and that possibly could be the finish here, Slick. Oh,
there's a big knockdown again. This could be it.
Nope, Diaz to flip though, and this could be a very dangerous position if you're Bobby Green. Ground and pound landing heavily now, looking to get the finish. It got the red outline, but no real damage actually done to head. A lot of damage done to the block, and now we end up in half guard here, Ginge.
Yeah, that was do or die there for Capalotti, and he just flipped him right over. A great test of luck or awareness, we don't know, but see what he can do here. Maybe he can get the head of the front his back if he goes to the backside. Just I was just negating there. What you have to do to back the fight if you Capalotti yourself?
And to be honest, he needs to get that Diaz jiu-jitsu game going from top, because when you're on top, you have so many more options. But obviously, he's in the full guard here, which is okay. Interesting decision to stand up there with such short time. He could have probably got a little bit of damage off, maybe pass guard. Kind of felt out the grappling a little just to see if it's going to have an advantage there and maybe go to it the next round.
Maybe that's the adjustment he makes for the third and final round here. Seems like Bobby Green has had two very effective rounds overall. Very aggressive on the feet, calm, patient. He is starting to look like he's going to suffer a bit coming into this round, just with how Capalotti's been progressing. But I think with the state of his head up right now, Ginge, he's got to pull something big out.
Health isn't terribly out of hand here but what the main difference is on health stats. Cartel's but on the game he's winning, and on the scorecard he's also winning, so we just take this round here.
Oh, lovely little fake there, as it just like was calling for earlier on in the fight. He faked the little hook and went up top with a straight. If he can do that, if he can do those types of fakes a bit more, that's a stun, and that is what he wants here. It's like,
absolutely, he kind of needs to pour it on here. Has the cardio to go and pour it on, especially against a Bobby Green. Bobby Green's big knockdown. Green's more likely to fold than Diaz is under this pressure, as we're seeing right now.
oh, but the uppercut is all you need. The straight ducking under the lead hook though, and Bobby Green's back. Up kick keeps him up in the feet. Teep there tries to push him forward, and both of these opponents are just trying to kill each other, it seems. The stamina in the favour of Bobby Green definitely gives him the favour overall in the striking department, as you can see here. But Bobby Green's starting to put the pressure on hard, Ginge.
Yeah, what I want to see more from Oh, big stun.
Well, that was a comeback and a half. Capallotti had so much difficulty throughout that entire fight, and as you mentioned, Slick, I think you described Capellotti perfectly here. He lives or dies by the sword.
Absolutely, and I mean, he went through the fire to get that victory. He was getting wrecked early on, and he managed to pull it out. But with a pick for the durability of Diaz, which is obviously a good pick for his style, because he takes a lot of damage, but he dishes out a lot of damage, and we see the knockout here.
Yeah, well, I didn't get to see much jiu-jitsu there, as you said earlier, so I could have about jiu-jitsu of Diaz, but moving on, can we get a...
We have, it has Galactic PvP versus a late replacement of Mega Tony. We're going to see this in the Bantamweight division. It is on the PlayStation side, so expect a more striking-based game. And by the looks of their picks currently of Cody Garbrandt and O'Malley, I'm expecting them to have a war on the feet, it seems.
Would expect nothing less from these two, just the picks in general. Expect the O'Malley to kind of stay on the outside, work the range, because against Cody, his chin deteriorates very quickly. So if he can kind of pick at the body, make him rush in, cardio a little, that chin's going to open up.
Just your jabs, your straights. You want to use your question mark kicks, your tapes, your belly kicks, any type of kick with O'Malley you want to use against the guard. As like said, it's very, very quick.
Yep. Yeah, well, this is a matchup I like to describe as glass chin versus glass shin. O'Malley hasn't got the best ankles. Cody, on the other hand, doesn't have the best chin. Boxer versus kickboxer here, it seems like here, Ginge.
Yeah, but, if Galactic keeps up missing them big shots, the stamina's going to pay out and he's going to get polished by Megatony. We've seen Megatony lose slouch in the past, and he'll polish you if you think that.
Seeing here early is the Cody's that's an interesting decision, take the shot there. But it's kind of roles reversed. I would expect Cody to be putting the pressure on, but he's actually kind of reserved, just standing off a little bit. I mean, protects the chin, and he's got a big takedown here. Big crucifix. This isn't good for O'Malley.
It does go into side, although these elbows are still dangerous. They can still do a lot of damage. Trying to just wreck the block and head health, getting a lot of them off very quickly, very effectively. That is very, very good damage already. Nearly getting the finish. Christ, this is a quick action.
I've got the finish there. That block is... Well, he needs to be careful that head health moving. Oh, never mind, reversal.
There we are, reversal.
I was going to say, looks like Cody Garbrandt's been back at Team Alpha Male practicing his wrestling. Might see a guillotine out of him here as well.
Well, he goes for something, doesn't get it, but now we end up in half guard. O'Malley disengaging from it, a jab straight teep. You have got to remember he took a lot of elbows and now he's in boxing range against a Cody. Both of these right now, Slick, are going at it. O'Malley wanting to play in his boxing range, which you've got to wonder if it's a clever idea or not.
Necessarily the worst, but then he took a lot of damage. But especially like against a Cody who's kind of looking to shoot, kind of has to put the pressure on, because the best way to stop a wrestler is make him fight off the back foot, right? So he's given him the space to set up his shots. A long night for him.
Yeah, one as it is the most effective way. And now instead, Cody's the one putting on the pressure. Digs down the body with a knee. Does also land a lead overhand early on. The jab straight already been effective. Lovely body kick there and a teep to follow suit, doing a bit of that stamina damage. But both of them are just going at it. The stun though, the knee, the elbow to follow into the ring, and these two are just going at it right now.
O'Malley use his tools a little more, kind of just at range, poke at him a little, because like if you're going to be in the fire with Cody, right, you've got to win the exchanges, because otherwise his chin doesn't really make that much of a difference in trading.
That was a wild little section there. You saw the O'Malley go for the spin kick. Cody on the other hand just moves out round. Head kick narrowly missed. Teep in the other hand. Uppercut as well. Both of these have no care for that stamina, which means that trading with either one of these may be more and more dangerous.
Pretty competitive round now. I think probably the Cody player won it just because he almost got that finish very early on from the wrestling, and I think he should go back to that well this next round because he took him down, took crucifix, and even though he escaped the crucifix, to get crucifix that easy has to put the seed in his head that he can just dominate this guy on the map.
A little jab there sets him off, goes to shoot a takedown. Cody wanting to be on the back foot. It seems he doesn't want to put the pressure on. He kind of wants O'Malley to walk into him, which may be the idea of how he wants to set up the takedown. But again, it's always the difficulty here, and both of them are just going back and forth. And I do definitely agree here. Cody probably needs to shoot for takedown. He seems a bit uncomfortable on the feet here.
Just as you said it, there's the takedown there. He's got the pass already. He's rushing a little bit to try and get the dominant position. Like, that's what's causing him to get swept. It was the same in the first round with the backside. Just settles a little, takes his time. He had 4 minutes to work, right? That 4 minutes is a long time on the ground.
I mean, any amount of time past a minute is a long time to work. Both of us being grapplers know that, as you mentioned, especially when you're looking for any type of grappling exchanges. The patience is the key asset here. It's kind of on the feet. This entire game is built around patience, even if it doesn't feel like it sometimes. It's like...
Absolutely, the athlete is being very patient, but his head health is not in a good way. So that's a nice spin kick there. But if he's going to commit to the body, he needs to get working on it because it's halfway through round 2 now. He asks about end of round 3. Who really cares? Fight's over. Active, pursuing it if that's his game plan for this fight.
Yeah, put on a better pace would probably be the most advisable thing. Is just taking what you said there, put on the pace, play aggressive, don't get countered, be wary of that head health, and just make sure your defense stays high and solid. Not getting hit by an overhand definitely helps, but a body lock trip also lands, and now this puts you in big danger. If he can get to the side control, he will have some very difficulty. Instead, though, watch the body does miss a straight there, and now we end up back in half guard.
For Mega Tony, like there where he's trying to transition, big triangle attempt. Are we going to see an Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen moment here with the losing the fight into a triangle?
No, he decides
so when he's sat in guard, to see a couple fakes from him, just because at the minute he's kind of just rushing still. If he takes a little breath, hit a couple fakes, even some strikes, he's going to have far more success.
Well, he needs to do that on the back foot. You got the gilly there. Hitting with the hand that's on the back of your opponent's head is not the advisable thing to do. And O'Malley gets back up on the feet. If I'm O'Malley, honestly, I'm staying on the ground. Like, my head health is gone. I'm having a lot of success grappling on top, and so probably what I'm going to look for is I'm going to look for do some postured up damage and not get clipped by an uppercut, getting the pullback now in the clinch. A teep there, and Mega Tony's starting to get a bit gassed here.
Being real for O'Malley, his chances a UFC 4 flash KO, which we all know from experience, happens more than it probably should. Just, like you said, the ground. Like, Tony is being crazy aggressive with his transitions, so the sweeps are there for him when he gets taken down. But if he sits on top, the Big Rock again, the same thing's going to happen. He's going to keep moving, have opportunities to deny. Big Rock again, especially with this head health this low. Got to start to pursue it, I think, even the clinch.
Well, both of them are kind of reverse roles here. I feel like O'Malley's the guy who needs to be shooting the takedowns. Cody, on the other hand, is the guy who needs to be putting on the pressure here, which is the complete opposite of what you want. But I say that O'Malley comes out here, gasses himself out, gets speared, and now we end up in side control again.
If I'm Mega Tony, I'm just chilling here. Like, as much time as he can burn off the clock is perfect for him.
No, doesn't matter. He gets the clinch exit, goes out down, digs to that body, couple of straights, and nearly gets reversed there. And now he's sitting in O'Malley's guard. We haven't seen O'Malley attempt another sub, so maybe a deny, and we see another triangle choke, possibly.
About the Hail Marys round here, we all want to be Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen. Again, like, the impatience on top from Mega Tony is getting him swept every time. If his opponent, O'Malley here, can I don't know why he's getting up. Like, you have no head off, bro. Come on.
Yeah, if you're O'Malley, you just wouldn't get up, especially when you're fighting someone like Cody Garbrandt. Being on top position is a lot better than standing on the feet, but maybe he wants to strike. Maybe he's not confident getting a ground and pound posture, but so far he's had some fantastic success. As I say that, though, Cody's now starting to play a dangerous game. He does manage to get up, but he's got really wary of that head health, which is constantly blinking here.
That's what we called for the last round, that shot there. But he's short time now. Like he's got to be a little bit active, maybe work to a mount to get big damage and possibly a finish.
Instead, though, gets met with Gilly. Now got to defend this for a minute 40 on the clock. This is just seems like more of a time waster than it is an actual attempt. No stamina, no real setup. The blue's definitely creeping up, but well, it's a good job defending. But I think it's, as I said, more of a time waster here.
Absolutely, and it was like I was saying, Megatone is okay with that. Like, he sit there. If the clock runs out, he's the winner, right? Like, there's no way the other guy's winning.
Well, it's UFC 4 judges.
A good point, but still, like, as much time as he can burn off the clock, even in top position, he's getting control time the whole time, right? So that's all he needs.
Well, here we are in Sprawl, 30 seconds left on the clock here, Ginge, and O'Malley is desperate for some type of finish, but instead he's just been stuck into another guillotine here.
Yeah, he was desperate to get up there, show off the kickboxing of O'Malley, but it's just completely cut off by that try there. And that guillotine could have been very effective if it was earlier in the fight.
Well, sometimes the way it goes, sometimes you get cut off, sometimes the gillies aren't really used as an actual submission, more of a time waster, more to keep your opponent busy, to really grind out to a decision, which is sometimes the case in these 3-round fights. As you can see, it seemed like Cody came out here to grapple. He had difficulty grapple. O'Malley was the better grappler. However, O'Malley didn't make that adjustment until later on when he was really hurt.
Yeah, that's the decision here.
Cody Garbrandt being the winner. I didn't get to hear the judges' scorecards due to Bruce Buffer deciding to be as quiet as a mouse this time round, but that was a fight and a half. Congratulations to Megatone there, playing the game using Garbrandt exactly how you wanted there, Slick.
I mean, he took himself back to Team Alpha Male right there, used that wrestling that he probably did learn in real life from Uriah Faber, you know. Mixed it up well. He got the big damage early, which kind of set the tone for the fight of where every time it got to the feet, even though you could kind of tell he wasn't particularly comfortable there, every time he landed, it was catastrophic for O'Malley.
Well, that's sometimes the way it goes. Catastrophe with power is a dangerous game to play, and that's the trouble with fighting Cody Garbrandt on the feet. However, without further ado, we're going to move on to the next fight of this evening. We're going to be moving back over to the Xbox division. We have Chase Me Fan filling in for Blink versus Onjay in the featherweight division. Both of these guys are fairly effective strikers as well as wrestlers. Onjay has got a couple of sneaky subs. Chase Me Fan has been around since UFC 3 days, so he's a true veteran of the game, understands all the ins and outs, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken here, Slick, he's also a wrestler.
Yeah, I remember Chase Me Fan from being a demon in the UFC 3 days of all the title defenses. Every time I play him, like, strong top game, you know, that's what he brings. I implement that, especially if this is a beat pick with the Asoto Gari plus just solid top game in general. Submission options too. We could see an early night here.
Well, one of Onjay's favourite subs, which you always see him pull out, is the Kimura, and one of his most particular positions for that Kimura is the full guard Kimura. So, with that being said, you've got a very top-heavy wrestler in Zabit, playing by a guy who enjoys that top game. And then you've got Onjay, a guy who is a submission guy mainly. He's got a very weird, peculiar striking that puts you off pedal here. And now both of these guys are going to be going at it in the octagon here, Ginge.
Yeah, it really is it's a battle of kickboxers here, but grapplers if needed, you know, as like mentioned before. Of the rubber guard, the beats got the guy, and it's really is just wherever these two want to take it, they can, because it's just different in kickbox, box, apple. It's really what they decide to do here.
Well, we see Onjay being the guy to shoot the takedown first. Chatenham now on the back foot, looking for any type of opportunity he has. He has thrown a couple of mental kicks, to say less, spinning shit all around. And he wants to body. The jab straight of Onjay will probably be the most damaging shots here. Chatenham not being able to get a fantastic read on them, even on the distance. Getting himself knocked down and looking for a finish already here.
To be fair, needs to he just needs to kind of stay, because the beat's got a reach advantage for at least leg reach. He needs to just kind of stay on the outside, pick shots, chop their legs even, because in a boxing back with Dustin, you're not winning. Like, it's almost impossible unless you're that much better than someone.
Yeah. Really is there with a range as well, as mentioned before. Zabit's and the health is getting very low compared to Dustin. Very low, and he really could not let that slip in the first round, and that could be really bad for him.
Oh, a couple more jab straights and knee follows suit. A lovely thing, but I say a lovely spin, and it's the spin that gets him KO'd.
Unfortunate.
Unfortunate is definitely one word there, Ginge.
I said it.
Straight on the chin, straight on the money. The one shot needed. Looked to be a competitive fight, but Onjay there capitalised on one mistake, and that was it for Chatenham. Slick.
That spin moving forward is very risky, because you can react to it because it's very slow if you're moving forward, and all you've got to do is circle a certain way and it whiffs. So it leaves you at a giant stamina disadvantage, which obviously if you eat a hook from that, it's just night every time.
Yep. And that is the power of sidesteps and just general footwork. It's a reason you always need to be careful which way your opponent's moving, which way he's going, because if you don't get it read correctly, Ginge, that can happen.
Yeah, being crypto know plenty of times, but being a space that will happen to you if you. Moving on, though, what do we have next, Doc?
We have OG King Wicks versus Hassan Hayes in the flyweight division this time. By the looks of it, both these opponents are going to be going calves. Interesting to say the least, but calves have always been a wild pick. I'm quite low on the cardio, but you normally end up seeing some really fun fights. Bull Cup Bully being one of the most notorious fighters in Primetime for using a calf here, Slick.
I mean, calf matchups, like, unless you've deep dived into what each calf has, it's really hard to prepare for. Like, they just have dumb stuff, like, just stuff you'd never expect, right? Like, Boxer Powerhouse has, like, ducking roundhouses and stuff. So you've always got to be on guard of what they're going to throw at you and just expect the unexpected.
I just mentioned Doc called Hash's Hands.
I'm half blind. Leave me alone. I'm not wearing my glasses.
Stevie Wonder could have read that, mate.
Jesus. Apparently we managed to get a Stevie Wonder reference in. Anyhow, we have Dan Mergliata as the referee. We have a man with an afro who has an interesting emote, followed by a guy who doesn't want to emote, and now a touch of gloves. I think we have broken Ginger, Slick.
I mean, I'm not surprised. That was a fairly funny emote. Looked like the guy probably had like a lice infection or something, scratching his head like a maniac, you know. But still doing a good job catching kicks here early. Doc.
Lovely bit of head movement there. Does miss out the jab, the crane kick there, a spin kick in retaliation. It seems like we're going to get a lot of crazy moves, as you were alluding to at the very beginning of this fight, Slick, and both of them are just going at it. Neither of them particularly care to just wait around or feel each other out. They are just blitzing one another here.
This is like watching a Palace versus Agamed Sharipov. Bragging like that.
The
Well-
one thing I would say here is Hashish Hands needs to be careful when he's spinning because he's spun a couple times in boxing range. And if his opponent steps through that with a power strike, he's going to catch him. Bad for him.
Well, a spin kick to the head after the oblique works fantastically. I will also mention King Wicks has a lovely ability to miss that jab. I'm not sure whether it's just because of the general ability to keep his head off the centre line, so it's making it difficult for that jab to be established or what. But so far, he's done a fantastic job. Does dig down to the body there. Both of them trade lead hooks, and again, the jab of Hashing Hands here, it seems to be his main tool to really set everything up, and he decides to throw an axe kick of all things there, Ginge.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of kickboxing being very heavy, but that, like we saw in the last match, will probably lose you the fight if you missed. These guys need to be very careful in the way they position their kicks, and the way they use their kicks, and especially their stamina when they're throwing the kicks.
Well, they're doing well. At least we can see one half of the cast, and so far their stamina's looking pretty good. However, it's got to be said, King Wicks here is just firing shot after shot on the head. You've got to wonder how he's doing in terms of stamina. He's just every time he's engaged in the pocket, he's just throwing 3-4 piece boxing combos here, whilst getting his body clipped every now and again here. Slick.
I agree with you. What I would like to see from Hands is because he had such an effective utilization of the jab for like the first kind of minute, and his opponents adjusted to it by moving his head, right? So if he follows it up with a right low kick after the jab, he's going to have his opponent thinking twice about moving his head, and he's going to be able to establish it again because obviously leg damage adds up very quickly.
I mean, depends how hard you kick that leg, to be fair. Sometimes the game gives you half a leg damage, sometimes it gives you a stun completely, and sometimes it does absolutely nothing here, Ginge. 10 seconds left in the round, an axe kick does miss, a straight uppercut clips, and the power and a leg kick comes out there very end there.
Very good tactic there from was it OG King Wicks? OG King Wicks to cut the legs of the kickboxer, takes out the power of the hands, takes out the speed and the head movement, the movement in general. Really what you want to do against a movie kickboxer,
Yep, well, the kickboxing seems to be the name of the game for both opponents here, even if King Wicks here seems to be more using the boxing. Even the slight flutter of kicking, as you can see with that left leg, is going to play major dividends to his entire game. Going back to that jab straight, goes for a slip straight. Again, that boxing is just so much more aggressive. Garcia has got to establish something better there, and a hook like that is what you want here, Slick.
Absolutely, you know, he's doing a good job here with the pressure. What I'd like to see from opponent King Wicks is he's thrown a 1-2, then slip straight. He's thrown it a couple times now, but the slip straight, he's not actually slipping anything. The mighty Sensei Spider has taught me, if you slip nothing, you lose your counter window and just get base damage as if it was a straight, right? You pretty much may as well just be throwing jab straight, which obviously no one does because it doesn't work really as a combo.
Well then, that's 2 fights back to back where something crazy has got people knocked out. This seems to be the way the card's going. At the rate we're going, we're going to see a lot of crazy stuff. We're going to see a lot of wild stuff, and people are going to pay for it. Sometimes it pays to be simplistic, to see basic, because otherwise that stuff can happen, Ginge.
It's like watching Bruce Lee versus Bruce Lee.
Headbutts to floor as well there.
It's the floor. He indulged in the floor.
Indulging, eating the floor, both work.
Great Michael Chiavello would say that's the headache maker right there, you know? Great to finish the fight. Every time you duck a head kick, it's rough. Like, you surge your adrenaline, like, okay, he's dead. And it's just brilliant.
He's dead. It's definitely a word. He may be awake later, but yeah, he'll be in a lot of pain Speaking of pain, though, we have our next fight of this evening. This time around, we're going to move back over to the Xbox division in the bantamweight, though, and we have I can't speak tonight. TMF Noggin versus AJS Assassin here.
Obviously, yeah, we got Logan, the very nice pressure fighter. Also, they're showing that by using the guard pick. I don't know much about AJ Assassin, but I do know he is a striker type of guy. Obviously, boxer, the Marlon Marias pick.
Mr. Nojin Cody versus a B-Tech Aldo here, Slickco.
You got the battle of glass chins here. One punch, it's over. That's what I'm saying. Nah, I'm joking. But the Marlon Moraes pick, like you said, B-Tech Aldo. But I also think Aldo has far superior boxing, so he's really got to get on his toes, prod at Cody's body, just keep him at bay as much as possible. Otherwise, that chin's going to deteriorate very quick.
I mean, you say keep him at bay, but do you remember how short Marlon is? You can see it in the height difference here. His arms are very short. For some reason, Marlon does have elbows, if I'm not mistaken, but they barely reach any further than maybe a centimetre away from his body. And as you can see already, they're engaged in the boxing. Lovely takedown there, and that's what you want if you're Marlon Moraes here. You don't want to be engaging in the striking battle so early with Cody. Up to the feet quickly.
I'm gonna favorite obviously I'm gonna favorite Logan because he's very nice in the pocket striker, but he's like Assassin knows how to kickbox, he knows what to do outside of the pocket. But he just kicks it very well and good offenses.
One thing I just picked up on there was Marlon threw a leg kick and Cody threw one right back, so they tipped for tatted right there. But Assassin picks up on that and knows that when he's throwing a leg kick's coming back, he can step through it with hands and do quite a lot of damage because he's open from the low kick.
Body kick there in the pocket, already engaging in so much. I feel like Marlon here wants to really try to blitz Cody, which may be effective, but you've also got to remember that Cody has got the power to blitz you back and do it probably 10 times harder. Cody may not have a chin, but it doesn't matter what your chin stat is, it's going to crack eventually when fighting someone like Cody here, Ginge.
Yeah, they're definitely one of the most powerful bantamweights in the division. Obviously you got Moraes, that's a puncher, but and it evens out the game, so it's really just a battle of shoot. Most strikes in the most effective way, the most frequent way.
Have a hook straight there. Both of them are just brawling in the combos, like non-stop action throughout this entire fight. Just pitter-pat, pitter-pat, pitter-pat. The leg health of Cody Garbrandt is slowly decreasing, so you've got to imagine the power of Cody Garbrandt's also decreasing, but by looks of that isn't stopping him, and he's happy to engage here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the style of fight Assassin's fighting here with Marlon is interesting just because Marlon's obviously more of a kicker. He's doing it very well. He's playing footsies really well. Just being in and out, making Cody whiff the second strike a lot, which is very nice. He used to punish him just like he did there, where he came back in with hands, and he slipped him down.
That is a fantastic job there, Ginge. He's worked out how to get through that block. He's just putting the pressure on.
We're watching Ryan's being on the front foot here, putting the pressure on. Hey, that's something you see every day. Especially at Cup League, you know, Warlocks are reserves, these are in the black line, trying to use revenge. Assassins, a lot of pressure.
And with that, that is an end to the first round there, as you saw Marlon getting the knockdown at the very end. Also had back mountain, so got to imagine that's going to be sitting in the back of Noggin's mind. He's going to be very confident coming into this second round here, Slack.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, big knockdown to end the round against Cody. Like, Cody's not a guy like a Whittaker who's going to come back from getting dropped repeatedly just because his recovery stat isn't there. Same with a chin stat, and it's really looking really low. So if Marlon can just kind of keep playing footsies, let Cody throw his twos and then come back with two of his own as he comes in, he's going to do a lot of damage very quickly and probably get a finish.
Oh.
And a takedown gets shot as well. The upper kick does manage to keep him off there, Ginge. Head kick followed by a straight. Marlon, though, is happy to engage. The head health is in his favour. Another leg kick follows suit. 3 minutes 40 left on the clock, and a knockdown's already happened so far. It's looking like Marlon's going to have this one in the book.
And I don't underestimate Marlon. He's got counter stuff, but he's not really using. I'm surprised at that.
Oh, okay.
What I just said. It can't be mistake, Max. He's run out of stamina.
Gets the knockdown, but not anywhere close to the finish. Now going for a gilly here. Does get the reversal into backside here. Slick, you imagine that a lot of damage can be done. Instead, though, Noggin does get the full guard.
Good job recovering his guard there. See from Moraes on the feet is Cody's not really moving his head, right? So he can use those big spin kicks to get through the block when he gets a rock. There's big damage here.
Oh, nice reversal there from Marlon.
Reversal is always handy, but if you can't keep the position, you're going to have issues, and that's again, he's pulled the same little stun there. Going to full guard, then going to backside, but instead, though, the backside take happened to Cody. Cody can land some serious damage. He may be able to get Marlon's head health blinking and put them at similar levels as one would hope here.
I didn't pick up on there until I just looked. I'm going to have to go back to head health on the round, which just surprised me. It shows you the power as of last Slick mentioned that right. And he's got some very, very nice power and nuggets
As the Sim Destroyers to have a couple issues, we end up back on the feet here. Cody is having a lot of difficulties, like facing a lot of adversity. He still stands a chance of doing it. He just needs one shot, and he found the shot. Now looking to get the finish, hoping to get the finish in some way or form. Goes down though. That's no stamina left. A couple elbows, doesn't get the finish. Now going to look for posture up, and now look for some heavy ground and pound, landing it on the block. But Marlon manages to actually get out of this. Like,
love to see Marlon throw either a jab wheel kick or a left hook wheel kick, purely because the lack of head movement from the Cody will get him caught, because his block is so minced that first strike will probably shatter it to the point where the bleed through and knockdown for him. Cody did a great job that round to pull it back. You know, he let his hands go a little in the pocket after, so that he would shell up and then let his hands go and get knocked down. So it was really nice to watch.
Yeah, he waited for the group, the opening there to just go back in the pocket and really paid off.
Oh, that's what you want. If you're Cody, though, looking for the ground pound there, going to get the finish, and it seems to be an underdog story tonight. If that was a hell of a fight, Noggin managed to pull that back, and fantastic adjustments overall there, Slick.
Yeah, absolutely. That was just one of those UFC 4 fights, right, where all going so well for the Marlon until it isn't. Like, you're like, yeah, this is all good, I'm doing really well, and then you eat a combo and you're like, I better just get back into it. And the Cody did a great job capitalizing on that little window of opportunity he was given there.
Yeah, and that kind of shows you the power of Cody overall there, Ginge. You have the power in his hands, even if he's got a glass chin, one wrong timing on a combo, and you end up with massive issues like that, and that is where you've got to be careful.
We all know Logan as a perfect counter-striker, knows well to throw, knows how to throw it. Moving on to our featured prelim of the fight, we have Amazon versus Perp Dog.
Yeah, both of these on the PlayStation side. We're in the welterweight division. By the looks of it, we're going to get Anthony Pettis versus Bella Muhammad. Muhammad, remember the name, so maybe Amazon's looking to make an impression here, but we're a Pettis pick on the other side. It's going to be a fun fight overall here, Slick.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the kind of fight Bilal would love in real life, right? Because people love Pettis in this game and in general, because his style is so entertaining to watch, right? Could just smother you. However, this Pettis in the game has so many options off his back. Same as real life. Like you saw the other week, he hit a triangle off his back in PFL. So many options off his back to where the Bilal, if he does get on top, has to be very careful and mind just he's doing essentially.
Well, looking at the scores at the bottom there, we saw 13 to 14 wins. It's clearly an indication that both of these are competitive. Amazon may hold the edge, but as we've seen time and time again, score and spars, you know, whether they're spars, whether they're just mess abouts, whether it was a DC or in ranked, and you're sleep deprived, it can be a multitude of factors. And so going off of that is sometimes a wild guess here, Ginge.
Obviously, you could be 50 yellow with someone that all it takes is be under that League 5 pressure, under the bright lights, and just be 50 and 1 very, very quick. We're starting off very high pace there. Just be careful that at the chin of Pettis.
Lovely spin kick there, already trying it wildly. Does go through the basic stuff. Mohammed, on the other hand, just keeping it simple, keeping the boxing nice and steady. A lovely spin kick, but again, we've seen how dangerous they could be, and he's got to make sure that he doesn't just get footworked out of the way and thus have issues here, Slick.
Yeah, 100%. You can see how Bilal's orthodox, Pettis southpaw here. That opens up the left kick to the liver for Pettis, which would be a big weapon, especially with the damage he's doing from those spins. If he can throw maybe a left cross and then a left body kick, keep Bilal a little bit at bay because he's throwing 2 long-range strikes, especially on a guy who wants to come in on you. If you can keep him on the back foot, it's going to be tough, like I said earlier.
Lovely, all spinning back fist also lands here, Ginge. The boxing of Bella Mohammed seems to be keeping Bettis kind of busy. He's trying to attack that body very early on with a lot of spins, and so far he's having some success. Some of it, though, isn't landing cleanly, and the counter windows are probably my biggest worry here.
We're seeing what we've seen in the last fight. Head health advantage going to Hamid, but it isn't really out of hand yet, like we saw in the Logan fight, and he just logging the back straight away. So I'm really count out dog heroes.
Well, holding full guard, staying fairly patient on it, looking for a bit of ground and pound here, Slick. And again, he probably needs to transition, maybe look for a full guard, half guard, maybe a side control, just to get out of this position. You don't even gain control time here.
To be honest, here he's in a sub attempt now, but he's okay to feel out the grappling. You know, see how good the guy who he's on top of is. Because if you get that was a fairly straightforward pass, right? You'd think like a top player would block that. So he's getting now the understanding of where his opponent's at on the ground and whether he matches up well. It's a good there on the crucifix though, especially with the GA deficit.
Yep, 25 seconds left overall. Probably going to go for a bit of aggressive ground and pound here, get a bit more damage off, make sure you won the round. Anthony Pettis just shaking his head like he's going, nope, you aren't allowed to punch me. And with that, we close an end to round 1. That definitely seemed like a Mohammed round, if I'm not mistaken here, Ginge.
Yeah, I would definitely score that one too. Amazon, I've played the guy in the past. He's got great striking awareness. He was trying to force kicks, he was trying to force boxing. Just a great all-round offensive striker with purple Urkel. He didn't get absolutely demolished in the first round. It was obviously Mohammed's, but it wasn't a combination. Head health is in the woods yet. How that's in his favour. He can probably still pull it back.
And now we see both of them are just going at it. You got the spin kick there, missed. The uppercut though lands, digs down to the body, does get blocked. And Mohammed on the front foot, playing more aggressive than his real life counterpart. And Pettis is just looking for a counter. It hasn't had much success yet, and I think he needs to figure out something with the boxing to really start playing this game here, Ginge.
Yeah, he really is relying on boxing, but he's doing pretty good so far. He's throwing the Pettis kicks right back at Pettis, and coming to the point where looking like Mohammed's going to close this out. Always this round if we keep on going.
Well, does get the reversal. Evidently the fake not working this time, Slick, and now we get to see how Anthony Pettis does on top. We've got 3 minutes left on the clock, and that is a long time to work here.
I don't really think the Pettis wants to be here. Yeah, there we see the stand-up, right? I would like to see the Pettis player implement the rear body uppercut, only because the Bilal shoots. Even if he doesn't shoot, if he just dips, he gets crazy vulnerability and head tracking off of it. So if he can set it up correctly. It's a really nice strike to cover all bases for him, where he can get the body damage, which he's already been working. He slow down the takedown threat. He gets good damage in general from it.
This seems like a really even matchup, especially counting picks and stuff. Lovely little body kick there. But they're both fairly good on the stam. The stamina is definitely decreasing in terms of Muhammad, but you can probably put that down more to the body damage than actually him gassing out in terms of the head health, though. It's favouring Purple. It's favouring the King Amazon here. And another takedown lands. He needs to start using these more. If he wants to shoot takedowns, and shoot takedowns, but do damage. Look for the half guard. Look for the top mount posture ups. You tried crucifix earlier, and this is what you want. But again, the get up gets it, and we're back on the feet here.
Yeah. Oracles. Oh no, not again.
Well, that is one counter. You've still got another 6 minutes left of total time for counter to really come out. Purple Urkel seems like he's pissed and wants to do everything, but the one counter there now ends up in backside, and we're looking to get the finish here, Slick.
He's done.
He's done. Fair play. It was good work for the Bilal to kind of just wait a second. Like, he didn't go crazy when they got back to the feet, the knockdown. He kind of just settled the one combo and then got the counter because he just saw it coming. It takes a little bit of composure to not rush in after you get a knockdown there, but he's waited for that counter beautifully. Nice finish.
Sometimes that is the way you go. Sometimes patience leaves other openings to happen. Also, it helps if your opponent's throwing some wild kicks with some big counter windows, and that's kind of, strangely enough, been the name of the game tonight, it feels like here, Ginge.
It's been a whole card. You know, that's 4 fights now where someone's got a or a knockout from going for a flashy kick, so I guess getting a rear hook to the absolute jaw. Now we move on to the
Yep, we are now on to the main card. That has been the prelims and a half. You had the featured prelim just now, Amazon versus Perp Dog. You had a wild fight from Capalotti making the comeback to Chasing Man versus Onjay, to Noggin making another comeback himself, and then Amazon having some success with Bilal, remember the name, Muhammad. But without further ado, let's get on to the main card. We're starting us off with tonight will be LW Hybris versus Big Nige. Like,
you know, when you get a main card spot in Primetime, you've obviously got something about you, right? Like, so what I'm expecting here, especially with this matchup, Leon versus Connor, I'm expecting the Connor to kind of barrel forward for combos, just raw combos. The Leon kind of needs to take a bit more reserved approach, maybe pick the legs, pick the body. Really got the hands. He's got okay hands, but compared to Connor, that's not the range he wants to be fighting at. So he's got to just try and keep him at bay, mixing trips from the clinch, maybe even taking takedown shots.
Yeah, no, I would agree. That's probably the most effective game plan if you're going to fight McGregor. Take him down, because especially from my experience with Leon Edwards, he's very flat-footed, very slow on the footwork department, and that is something that Conor McGregor just absolutely succeeds in, Ginge.
This is a fight I would really like to see in real life, because it's just something that everyone wants to see. Great strikers just absolutely shit at each other. I was seeing that here.
I mean, McGregor narrowly avoided getting kicked in the head very quickly there, and he got completely gassed, and both of these opponents going out of that straight, already hitting there as well, Ginge, but the counter window digs down to the body there, a jab straight, followed by a body kick, and both of these guys are just going at it already here, Ginge.
I think this would be like what would actually happen in real life. They would just like kick the shit at each other until like one just dies.
Well, a spinning elbow there, digs up on top, a straight follows suit, another jab straight, also trying a straight there, counters McGregor's straight, Colton. It seems like Edwards is having the most success here.
Spin levels are really working hard, really working good for him, you know. I think Light's going for the slip straights. He looks at it, just looks down, goes, right, what am I going to throw? Something that goes to the will do damage. Fine. Elbow, it works. It's working every time.
Beautiful counter there. The Leon Edwards is having he's having a lot of success with elbows, particularly pull elbows. So I would like to see Nige. Like to see Nige maybe feint the last strike of his combo, so then you get the pull, and he can either counter the pull or he's pulling nothing, so he gets no vulnerability. And also, he's then put at a disadvantage because if he pull elbows nothing, you can strike after his elbow while he's still vulnerable.
Yep, a lot of the elbows have played into a massive factor. The jabs, though, of Nige now suddenly coming out for fruition, reducing just the power of Hybris, and Hybris seems to have calmed down quite a bit here. He's realised that the jabs are working, and that are probably the tool that he wants to stick to coming into the end of this round here, Ginge.
Hybris used to spin levels to straight a lot. Probably going to end up looking for the pullback elbow too, so at least I know what he wants to go for mainly is just not hunt for patience and just wait for the perfect opportunity.
He's doubling up on a jab, following by a straight. Seems to be a couple of going more for block breaking combos. Edwards is starting to get a read, sidestepping here as well, keeping that defense fairly high, making sure the block doesn't take as much damage. But Slick, when you have McGregor hitting you, it's gonna be. It doesn't matter how many times you manage to miss a shot. If you keep getting jabbed to the face, you're gonna have issues. As I say that though, the knockdown happens. That's another knockdown in the favour of Leon Edwards here.
I mean, with the Connor, his jab is working, and the jab's a very safe weapon. Like, the worst that can happen is you get slipstreamed, right? But you're not getting full elbowed or anything. Big jump me at the end. But, like, with Connor, you're kind of in a downward spiral, right? If he hits you with a jab and you get hit stunned, you're eating like 7 more punches before you're unhit stunned. If he can just keep landing the jab, establishing it, and building it, have a lot more success this round.
Well, head kicks follow suit, another jab straight also follows suit, digs down to the body, a heel kick also follows, and both of these guys have wasted no time getting straight back into the fight here, Ginge.
It's even fight, but it just seems like Edwards is starting to get ahead on most exchanges, only because he's waiting for him to throw in, like, and then the lead hook or whatever he wants to throw after, and it's really working well for him.
Front kick does land, a heel kick also comes out. It seems like Nige is kind of getting a bit wild. You're not particularly used to seeing him thrown these types of weapons. He's normally quite composed, going more for the boxing approach, but instead he really kind of feels like he's desperate for a finish in some cases here, Slick.
I'd agree with you with that. The thing with Connor, right? Nige is not really being efficient with his kicks, right? He's throwing them out there. Just to hit block, essentially. Like, with Connor, you don't really have the cardio to be used. Ooh, big rock. You don't really have knockdown.
It seems like Leon Edwards isn't going to let you get the rest of the statement in. Try again, but as I say that, knockdown there does go dig down to the body. Lead hook there, lead hook, and a straight follow suit. Looking to get the finish on Nige. Nige is so close to getting finished there. One shot, and that is all it takes.
Play there for winning the fight of a boxing exchange against a Connor. It's a tough thing to do, but fair play. Pick this shots well. But just like I was saying, with Nige being a little bit inefficient with the kicks there, if he maybe stuck with his hands, he might have had a bit more success. But good fight overall, Ginge.
Was there obviously like to be a lot more composed, as like said. He used the power of Connor to break that block before Edwards did it. He probably would have won that fight there if he got a more offense. Not a bad fight at all, but can you tell us what we have next, Doc?
We have, in the PlayStation division this time, Martial Rival versus Clarky. Both of these guys are notorious for their kind of striking ability, but it looks like we're going to be in the lightweight division this time around with a Holloway versus a Dustin Poirier here, Slick.
Lightweight Holloway is interesting. Obviously, he has this is a weird matchup, right? Because they are both predominantly boxers, and Max. Max has infinite cardio, but like not the greatest power. So I feel like he's gonna have to just out of the fire a little bit. He's gonna have to play footsies, use his footwork, maybe even chop the leg at distance just to get some of that power away from Dustin. Otherwise, it could be a long night for him.
Yeah. You said you want to use that kick. I want to see him use the rear body kick. I feel like that could really set the difference between a yeah and his stamina. But I want to see from Clarky is I want to see him close the range, hit up with a few straights, maybe like a straight lead hook. Just go for pressure boxing if anything against the Max.
Yep, lovely lead hook there, and already playing both a very aggressive game in both cases, just using a jab, using the straights. Leg kick does get blocked. A lead hook there though, and they're both playing a very aggressive boxing game.
When we're seeing about 400 slips a second, it's only a matter of time until someone gets a stun.
Absolutely. I'm seeing here is literally they just wanna. It's just a firefight at this point, right? Be on someone to take the initiative and understand that this is not a sustainable style of fight for them. There it is, big takedown from Holloway.
Well, we've seen how dangerous this side saddle position can be. Now goes into backside. You can get some very dangerous punches off here if your opponent can't defend properly. By the looks of it, though, Clarky has done a fantastic job there. Finally, also getting the get up. By the looks of it, Ginge.
I wasn't expecting that from Holloway to be taking a Poirier down, but if you see everything under comp lights, but waiting for someone to get this big pull back here at the snap it. As Slick mentioned before, you may as well just do the up straight if you're gonna do that because you're not really gonna slip anything out of the pocket, are you?
Absolutely. That's where the Holloway is entering with slip strikes. He's not countering anything because there's nothing coming back at him, so he loses the advantage he gets from slipping something, right? There, he gets vulnerability damage, whereas if he just does it naked, he doesn't get any. So he needs to be a little bit more responsible with what he's doing to enter, because if you're slipping nothing, his opponent can see it coming a mile off and can make the read to counter your slip and get his own big vulnerability damage.
Well, some takedown defense happens there. Clarky is looking for like some kind of counter, but every time Holloway is just having an easy time getting the slip counter off and then firing through. The only issue I can see is that's doing quite a hefty chunk to his stamina. Now we see them in half guard here, a minute left on the clock. Holloway doesn't seems to be content just holding this position so far. We're building that GI very steadily, moving back into the side saddle position. Probably going to be looking to get some more elbows off as we saw it beginning around here, Ginge.
That is the downside of going for big transitions like that. As in the Logan fight, we saw him use the reversals, but in this fight, if you deny them, you get that really big GA bar. You give up really dangerous positions. Look at that stamina, Slick.
If I'm a martial rival here, I'm seeing how dominant I am on the ground, and I'm going back to the well in the second round. On the feet, they're just firefighting. They're stood toe to toe, swinging, see who falls first, right? He can maybe mix in the clinch again, get the judo throws. Can definitely do work on the ground. Even there, where he had side saddle, he killed that block. So now on the feet, he's gonna have an earlier chance to do damage through the block in the exchange.
Yep, doing the block damage is one of the most effective tools you can do. So as soon as that blocks down, you can get the bleed through, as we mentioned throughout this entire card, and that is what you want to be doing. Holloway already at it, the head health blinking all of a sudden, and now he's being pressured. But again, Poirier just can't seem to get any boxing. He's looking for counters. If he doesn't get his boxing established, I would say that gets his bloody knocked down here, Ginge.
Yeah. It still seems like the head have advantage. It's still going towards a martial rival. And it's just, but for Clarky, it's just a knowledge of I need to get this head health. I want to have a chance in this fight. I want to have pocket fight as they are having, you're going to need to have that head health.
Well, both of them are still going at it like absolute nutcases. Does get a trip there, does roll out of it as well, and Poirier now just trying to figure out the engagement range. Holloway happy to hold the middle of the octagon, doesn't really want to push. He's just looking at the counter windows now. He has been knocked down though, and so he's definitely down and around. Maybe wants to play a more aggressive game here, Slick.
Absolutely. I'm seeing good work from the Holloway when he lets his hands go. He's kind of ruining it by looking for empty slips because he's draining his stamina a little bit by doing the slip and not getting a benefit out of it. Lets his hands go and doesn't worry about trying to slip on his way in. For example, like if he just throws a free piece, like there, you see he pull elbowed nothing. If he just throws a free piece, have much more success than by just waiting for these counters that aren't coming.
Maybe so, but so far, as you mentioned, another slip straight there, both empty slips. It seems a hip toss there does get him down to the ground. Wasn't a hip toss, it was a trip of all things. It does get clipped on the counter though, uppercut hook, and Poirier trying to put the pressure on here. Re-engagement as they go, both of them trying to get this boxing to work. Neither of them really actually having the ability to put the boxing into full Bruce practice, being able to put the others on the defense non-stop here, Slick.
Absolutely. Opponent, the Dustin picks, made a good adjustment of coming in and out more rather than just being in a firefight now. So you can see it where Marshall's kind of just hitting air. Which obviously not what you want, but he definitely didn't hit air there. He hit all head. And that's a big knockdown, and it could be over. It's over.
It's over. That's a fantastic job. That is what you need. If you were the Holloway, you could see the gas tank slowly creeping down as time went on. He finally got the knockdown, finally got the finish there, Ginger. That is what you wanted.
We should get the head half advantage early. Stamina wasn't great, surprisingly, but everybody did get the win. Good one there by Marshall Rival.
And so we go on to our next fight of this evening, the co-main event of this evening. May have to deal with an advert whilst you wait for that too. So we have FSK Optics versus BFAT Jakey. This is going to be the middleweight division. Both of these are notorious. Slick, introduce your campmate here.
We have the king of Basildon, Jakey B, out here. He's going to look put on a show. It's frustrating trying to corner him because he loves putting on a show a bit too much, and sometimes he might not make the right decisions in fights. The skill set is there. All it takes is that little mental click, and he's always one of the best.
I'm gonna say, well, we did describe himself as possibly one of the best statements heard. He's kind of like a gatekeeper. We've got a couple in prime time, especially when you've got the ever mighty Trixie and Fadinator always battling out for the belt. You got people like Dave and Jakey are definitely known for, if you can beat them, you're definitely in line for a title shot.
We definitely hold people like Dave, Jakey, we hold them high amongst the community, and if you beat them, you know you're going to be on the rankings at least around the top 5, because they're always around there anyway. Optics low selection, haven't went over me in the season. Pressure striker, also a good grappler, but obviously Jakey is the both department.
And here is so Herb Deaner's rest, Robbie Lawler versus Paulo Costa. Hopefully Paulo Costa is actually a middleweight this time and not like heavyweight, and Robbie Lawler's already playing very aggressive. We know the power of Robbie Lawler. Costa on the other hand does have the power, although it doesn't feel like it at times. I feel like here, Ginge.
He looks a bit beefy. Honestly, I think he is light heavyweight. So, obviously, Lawler's got the power in the house, so it's probably Costa, but if I'm picking a fighter, I would pick Lawler over Costa. bit, but it's almost kind of like just a battle of if Jakey can get his kicks off, body kicks and with flashy type of kicks work well if he uses right.
Yep, the kicks are probably going to be a massive factor if they can be effective. Already working that leg very nicely, just chopping it very lowly. Does get a head kick fired in each general direction, doesn't hit it, but does lean into the hook. The elbow, though, worked fantastically there, Slick. Jakey putting on the pressure like a madman here.
What I was just thinking, honestly, I would like to see Jakey, because obviously he stepped off a little bit and let Optics back into the fight. But if he gets back on this pressure game, it's his all day. Monster's just got psycho power, really. Like, if you get hit by him, it is literally like getting hit by a drone. If he's putting hands and hands and hands on him, because he's not getting block countered, like just what we saw there, he went. It is UFC 4.
He needs to watch, though. He's getting a little bit too overconfident in the pocket here. He sees this as, I got a stun, and now, hey, he's losing the head health battle.
Well, a trade of head kicks doesn't do much damage. The uppercut, on the other hand, does. Digs down to the body. Head lead hook there does really lead into that lead side of Robbie Lawler. I feel like the lead hooks are going to be the most beneficial shot for both of them here. That engagement, that battle of the lead hand, especially when you're fighting an orthodox versus southpaw, really kind of dictates who's going to have the better striking game overall here. Lovely hook, though.
Yeah.
It is, boys. Yeah. For the block counter, Jakey adapted and then pulled out the slip hook there, which is exactly what I would be asking for him if I was cornering him right now.
You can definitely tell the biased commentator in the booth. Gotta understand that one. Both of these guys are understandable.
Communicating through tin cans and strings right now.
All the way to Basildon by the sound of it, and he's Lawler's on the bottom. He's trying to get something going, does get denied just so Jakey can't do anything. Does get up with the 15 seconds to go. I'd imagine both of them are going to stay fairly patient. Bit of head movement there, does it throw some empty shots to the wind, and Jakey staying patient at the very end of that fight round.
Yeah, great start for Jakey there. Optics getting slushed as well. They both got stuns. Jakey obviously got the better of the round, but Optics showed he's not no pushover. He'll stun you back and he'll go for that KO too.
This round, I'd like to see more of the same from Jakey, but for Optics, you need to do just that. Look for counters. So,
well, there's another counter there. Digs down to the body, gets a lovely body counter stun. You want your counters, the Optics giving to them, trying to get a finish in, nearly gets it. Only just survives there. Jakey, head health is evidently low. That's going to make some note. The elbow there, digs down to the body there, straight. Head kick also follows suit. Both of these are in for a battle and a half here, showing their pure striking deviance. Slick.
both these men thrive in a firefight from experience. I fought them both in this kind of fight, and they both thrive. Optics is doing a really good job of looking for counters here, but he also needs to be careful of being off the back foot quite so much, because that is exactly what happened there. If Costa is able to impose his will on you, put you where you don't really want to be, and you're kind of not making him fight for it, he's going to have much more success. But good counters from Optics so far.
That was a fantastic hook. Does get it, looking to get a finish now. Somehow doesn't get survived. It looked like he was going to survive, and he didn't. Optics getting the finish against a very tough opponent like Jakey.
Just a battle of who can hit the hardest, fastest. What a fight.
That was a fight and a half. Neither one can be sad about losing that. That was just a wild fight galore. With both of them being high up in the rankings now, you imagine that fight's going to eventually happen again, and that is a fight to look forward to. That was a war and a half there, Slick.
That was a crazy fight, and I mean, from both guys, I'd expect nothing less. That is their style. That's how they fight. They come out to just commit violence on each other, and they showed up tonight. Great fight for both guys.
Great fight indeed, but that was the co-main event. We are now in the co-main event of this evening. We have a PS not title fight, just a PS fight against with Millions versus GSP Goat in the middleweight division. Both these guys are ranked of some sort. Very aggressive striker is Millions. He plays a very dangerous game. But it looks like we're going to be a middleweight, and we're going to see a Nick Diaz versus a Robert Whittaker, which is an interesting matchup to say the least, here, Ginge.
Yeah. I can't really describe that. It's basically just like, I'm going to choose the best guy, you choose one of the worst guys you can pick against a Whittaker. I got balls.
Yeah, it's you have balls. I'll give GSP this. You have to have some incredible insanity to go against Robert Whittaker as Nick Diaz. I mean, if he pulls it off, he pulls it off. Nick Diaz did get upgraded, but I don't think he has the same type of upgraded and just the same recovery rate, same power as someone like Robert Whittaker here. It's like,
thing about Whittaker is he kind of has fraud stats. So he has really high recovery, so you can drop him and keep coming back. But he also has really bad chin, so it kind of doesn't feel like that. Like, if you get one knockdown, it kind of spirals, but he will survive a lot of knockdowns. If you're this Diaz, you've just got to put the heat on him as just a standard Diaz fight, really. Just literally pepper him with everything you've got. And if I could speak English, you would have to just cause that downward spiral for him.
so
Yeah, well, this way, it's a pepper with everything you have, but when you're playing Nick Diaz, it's not, everything you pepper might not be enough against the meta of the division, Doc.
yeah, well, so far he's doing a fantastic job here. He's staying in pace. The only issue is the tips to the body, the general engagement. I haven't seen a couple of kicks in boxing range, which is my main concern when you're a Diaz. Like, that is definitely not something you've been throwing. Lovely elbow also lands just a couple of seconds ago. Tries to do that jab uppercut, but it's not landing cleanly. Decent as the body right lead took a straight leg, engaging very greatly. It seems like Robert Whittaker is going to work for the stamina, and with his recovery, that's definitely a good play to make here. It's like,
Absolutely. I'm not really liking the body language I'm seeing out of this Diaz. He's very content to fight off the back foot, and against a Whittaker, he's just going to pick you apart. Like, the whole Diaz game is revolving around pressure, right? If you're going to fight off your back foot at this kind of range, you're probably just going to get picked apart slowly.
yeah, sometimes people want to use the fighters in different ways. Maybe it's better picking someone like an Anderson Silva if you want to fight at the back. Sometimes somebody wants to come out with a mad, weird pick here, Ginge, such as Nick Diaz.
And worse, you could have went like Punk. I know it's not a minute away, but both of these fighters are using their tapes very well. See what's like that. It's just the body going. Just pressure on him whenever he wants to.
Indeed, we're a minute left on the clock. Diaz is trying to put the pressure on. He's slowly gassing out, though. Millions is content just to work slowly, work methodically, just slowly whittle down the general health of a Diaz here. It's like,
Absolutely. This what it is you see now he's not pinned on the cage. He's having a lot more success. He's getting teep kicked a lot, so if he could address that, he would have much more success still, because that's the only way he's really getting backed up now. So if he could bust out the side steps, maybe even catch it. If you catch a couple, you can take cage control very easily.
I mean, if you sidestep one and you fire a head kick, that can sometimes be a flash KO. So he has that option on the table. Sidesteps are probably the best counter option. Catching them are probably the best overall control option here. Is just to reiterate your point to some extent, Jin, Slick. And so here you see round 2, and they are going at it again here, Jin.
We're seeing Lions take these very big advantages, but you can notice them. The head health is on his way, stamina, body health, what's going on his way. It could be because of the stats.
Well, Nick Diaz ends up getting knocked down for the first time this evening. It'll probably be a couple more now as he maybe starts to spiral here. I feel like it's just going to be the case of when will Whittaker really start putting on this pressure and really find all his counter windows slick.
Absolutely. I mean, Big Rock. The key to this fight for the Whittaker is literally his team kick. Big Rock back. So much, but Big Rock down.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
But when you get the finish, and it looks like he will do, he does, and that is how you get a finish. Coming back off a stun, getting the elbow, gets a rock, and then just the jab, straight body kick, straight down, gets knocked down, and looks for the finish there, Slick.
He did a really good job, as I was saying, throughout the fight with a teep kick, because a Diaz without stamina is not really that dangerous, because the whole Diaz game is overwhelm you, literally melt you inside the cage with their output. And even though that wasn't GSP's GOAT's game plan, teep kick kind of took that option away from him, so he was forced into fighting a fight that the Diaz pick's not really made for, which just favored Million, who actually ended up finishing him, so fair play.
Yep. Sometimes that's the way it goes. The picks are sometimes interesting, but speaking of fights, speaking of interesting fights, we have BFAP Trixie versus BFAP Dirty Dave for the Xbox title. Now, Trixie's just come, he's beat Fad, beat Jakey, but now he's going to beat another BFAP member of Dirty Dave. We are in the lightweight division. We are going to see Dirty Dave choose McGregor of all people, and we have Trixie using his ever prevalent Dustin Poirier.
Cheers. I think a B-flat member's going to win this.
I mean, you have got to assume BFAP member will win this, Slick. So, want to give us a quick rundown? Both of these your former cammates. You will probably have the biggest insight into both of these guys here.
Hang on, Doc. Can we address how you said former? I am still repping BFAP proudly here.
Did I say former?
Yeah.
Oh,
unless I am
apologies.
left, which is very possible.
I mean, I'm blind. We're covering two aspects already.
Trixie, he is pupil to an extent. Like, I will call him all of his fights because I'm so far inside his head that he's also inside mine, and it's kind of crazy. It's like just telepathy. Whereas we have Dirty Dave, very, very good skill set. He's very well rounded, but with a McGregor pick, we're probably not going to see that. On that feet, he's got the so Trixie's kind of fundamental, throws the hands, works the takedowns, whereas Dave's more kick heavy, which is why Connor's kind of a weird pick. See him do weird, crazy combos with like Bruce Lee, GSP, using just crazy kicks. This should be an absolute bomb burner though, and the fans are in for a treat.
Well, we already see the jabs coming out, a leg kick checked, and Dave's playing a very nice game to start with. The side kick though does get established, a spinning body kick though also lands, and another leg kick comes out. I'm curious to see how the leg kicks develop over the course of this fight. They are normally Trixie's main tool. Dave, on the other hand, normally ends up with grappling to some extent, but with McGregor pick, as you mentioned earlier, I doubt we're going to see that overall game here, Ginge.
When I think Dirty Dave, I think GSP, I think Top Man, Side Control, Crucifix. The contrast here is just damn, because I wouldn't really see Dave treat McGregor, and I think it's quite a good shock. He's done really well with the McGregor pick.
I mean, he shot a takedown and it worked fantastically. Fantastic job there. And cockiness, if anything, for shooting a takedown with McGregor. But hey, it's Dave. He's not known for his orthodox side, to say at least. Trixie now on bottom, looking for a sub-attempt by the looks of it. And instead goes to the rubber guard. Dave decides to posture up, looking for the ground and pound, playing it slow and steady. He's got a long time to work, but Trixie's also got a long time to get a reversal here, Slick.
Absolutely, and it was no surprise there to see Trixie go for the rubber guard, pupil of the absolute rubber guard master, the one and only Hammer, So he's obviously going to be competent now. For Dave, though, he's going to know the trick with the hand on the back of the head to stop rubber guard. It's going to be tough to get out GA, but both of these guys grappling. I'm very interested to see it because I've grappled both of them and I know it is not a fun experience either way.
It never is. I think I've grappled both of them in the competitive setting. Trixie, I would say, is a bit more ferocious just because of his general striking. Dave, on the other hand, is pure, unadulterated abuse on the ground.
This to me is like the second coming of style with Top Gear. He just holds you there and you can't do anything about it.
His striking has been on top tonight.
Yeah, he's looking good. The left leg of Poirier isn't looking good, and that's giving me great concern. However, the right leg of McGregor also is a bit sketchy, and so let's hold him fairly still. The damage really done seems to be done by McGregor. However, that's still to play for. This is a 5-round fight, and if anything, Trixie's best round is notoriously his second. He's a bit of a slow starter, but as soon as he hits that second round, that is when the tides change, typically.
On there. Taylor, Dave should be first on striking. I wouldn't associate Dave with this type of pressure striking, but he's doing it better than a lot of people on the Xbox scene, dog.
Well,
he's a BFAP member. We're in the lab every day with
I think Dave is more in the lab than most of BFAP combined. Dave will spend his entire time in the lab purely for the head of it. The man's lives in it, some would say, and I think that shows in all the aspects of his game here. It's like,
I agree with that. You know, some fighters, when they don't have much money, they live at the gym. Dave does it voluntarily and he loves it. Vibes off of it, has new tricks every single fight. Big head kick there. Yeah. If I'm Trixie, I'm looking to put a bit more pressure on, just because Connor obviously take as much as Dustin. And so he goes into a downward spiral much quicker than Dustin. So if he can bring that pressure, he might be able to change the fight.
Boy, this is the watch their kicks though, because as we said about 20 times this card, it's like you held that hook. That's a stun and a half.
Surprisingly, out of all the people to throw kicks, Dave is not the one I'm concerned about. Dave just has an inability to throw kicks and somehow make them land. The leg kicks, on the other hand, by Trixie are going to be massive concern to Dave. Just the legs, how slowly creeping down. Lead hook does land, both of them engaging. The straight finally comes through. Another hook there, though. Dave fires back, trying to get him to bugger off, but instead a head kick gets blocked there as well.
Like before Trixie's round, it's normally Trixie's second round is normally his best round. And to be honest, he's shown it. He's brought back the head off. He's went for the legs. But he's still even his favourite, but he pulled it back to an even fight here so far.
Well, they're trying their damnedest. A couple of jabs already coming out. Both of them fairly similar in head health and body health, as well as leg health. They're pretty evenly matched across the board here, Slick.
Absolutely. You know, I'm liking the pressure I was seeing from Trixie. Dave's not really one to panic. Like, he is about as much of a robot as you could be, but he's also a great guy. The only time I've ever seen him panic is playing in goal on pro clubs on FIFA, but in Octagon doesn't happen, you know. So
it's good pressure. Dave in goal on pro clubs. That's
unreal, honestly. Best keeper in the world.
I want to know more about this after. I don't expect Dave to play FIFA.
Oh, well, there we see the kicks, but the leg kick gets checked, and that's what you want. Takedown does get fired. He has no done takedowns. Probably a bit of mistake there. Instead, though, gets taken down himself. A minute on the clock. Could go for stat guard, could go for side control. All possibilities. Instead, though, just gets to get up, back on the feet. Dave getting a jab established quickly. Leg kick does get fired. That left leg of Poirier, though, is something that I'm scared for currently.
Both legs of both fighters are something I'm terrified for, Doc. It's both just absolutely ruined, aren't they? This like
fight's gonna end up like that one guy out of SpongeBob who just shouts "my leg" randomly every time something happens. Like one of them is screaming it. It's gonna be one of them. Don't know who. And a great fight through too, though. Much like I expected. Like you can see the little adjustments they're making to each other. You know, like. Know each other very well, so they have kind of a preconceived way this fight's going to go. Dave started well. Trixie made a little adjustment, turned on the pressure, and now he's doing a little better. Let's see what happens this third round.
Well, The stamina's fairly high for a third round, especially mainly for it being striking. Does go into that head kick, ducks under on the after the hook, expecting the counter. Instead, though, bits of head movement. Side kick does land. A teep gets faked. The leg kicks are always there, always poking out, always making themselves known, but no, always being thrown. And a lovely knee to just dig to that body of that Ginge.
Yeah, this fight may as well be back at square one because cat house even, the body's even. Eggs, they go with a little bit of Dave. Laughing at Tracy can't go back on, but you can just oh my god!
That is a Dave combo, putting the pressure on. Trixie, though, showcasing his ability as champ, showing his defensive nature, getting the spear as well, and that is not an entire incident you see every day, Cole.
Pool party, Bob. You know, that's the saying that gets thrown around in the BFAT parties all the time. It's always a pool party for us. Make sure you bring your swimsuit, bro, because these guys are going to be pulling, shooting spears. It's going to be crazy. But yeah, that was beautifully timed from Trixie there. Because obviously, if you pull counter, you're at risk, right? So you need to do something about it.
Oh no!
Side control here. This is not good.
This is looking dangerous territory for poor Dave. Had a couple denies in that part. He has a couple elbows as well. He's being a bit wary of what tricks he's going to come out with. He's coming out with the elbows. He's looking for an arm trap by the looks of it, and so far he's just been blocked. Broken. That head health is a couple of elbows away from one big shot here before it starts blinking, Ginge.
See, full aspect of Poyet's game be implemented into the league fight. It is working really well. The head health goes in a highly favoured towards Trixie, and it's all because of that the offense he put on side control and side battle.
Well, Dave letting Trixie just work his body to Kingdom Come. Trixie doesn't learn to get up again, and now Dave is on the feet. We saw how much of a deadly person he can be. Maybe Trixie gets wise to his combos. Maybe Dave's going to be a bit frustrated, but as like mentioned, Dave normally stays quite calm under all circumstances.
Absolutely. Dave's composure second to none, honestly. Like, we'll literally be in a party and he'll be in a, like, when we're cornering him, he'll be in a firefight like this and he will just be telling us what's going on. It's a really great asset to have because the fight's worried constantly. It's going to play on your mind and also going to affect your performance negatively, as I know from experience, because every now and then it happens, but the jitters get everyone, you know. Very interested to see in this fourth round though who can implement their game better. Though
that halfway through that third round is when Dave seems to have had the biggest falter. That knockdown after he's got the stun has really decreased Dave's overall game. His stamina's reduced, his head health is now blinking. It seems to be that this is where the momentum will start to change, will start to develop towards being Trixie's fight by the looks of it, Ginge.
Yeah, I don't know how you have scored this fight, but I've scored it 2-1 for Trixie, taking the second and third. A great knockdown there from Trixie. That's really going to affect Dave. Really in the, I like the department, just in the overall game department. Oh!
That spin kick, he was hoping for it because he knew that Trixie had already been clipped by it. By the looks of it, though, that stamina stayed high. The stamina so low, does get the get up, but that head health is nearly dead. Shoots another takedown. No stam, gang, and Dave manages to survive. But again, same issue as last time, and this is just a tough fight for both of them.
starting to spiral.
It's going to be one of them things for Dave. He's really going to the pocket. He can't really go for any exchanges. He's going to have to look for that pull or that really heavy case to finish this.